on the Maguire thing, because I'd be interested to get your take on this. I agree with you. I think for this David Moyes West Ham team, I think Maguire's great. I think he's transfer fee and wages aside, as a player, he's basically a better version of what Craig Dawson was for us. And we loved Craig Dawson. He was an absolute god amongst West Ham fans. He was brilliant. My issue with it is, though, well, there's a few things. One, he's obviously coming in straight into the team. Otherwise, he wouldn't be joining us because he's not joining West Ham to sit on the bench. So unless we're playing a back three, either Aguerd or Zuma get dropped. And based just on, especially with Zuma, based on footballing reasons alone, I don't think either of those two deserve to be dropped based on what they did last season. Like, I know we were bad, but those two generally did strike up a really good partnership. Or we're going to a back three, which means I don't really think we've got the wing backs for that. So that presents another problem. The main issue for me is, though, good player for David Moyes, but that's the biggest issue. There's no guarantee Moyes is going to be here next season. He's going to be 31 at the end of the year. We're paying £30 million for him. And he's got to be on about 140, 150 grand max to come and play for us.
I think United are paying off quite a lot of his wages, the end of his contract. But
it's such a short term. Like, I get it. Zuma's injury prone. Maguire's off to AFCON in January. I get it, but I would have much rather have gone for like a Harwood Bellis for like 15 million, or a Jonathan Tah for 18 million, which was the rumored price. Someone who you don't necessarily have to chuck in straight away, but you've got that sort of bedding in periods when if Zuma does get injured, or when Aguerd does go to AFCON, and you've got the European games, that's how you can bed those players in. But to do it on Maguire, I know we're lacking a bit of leadership at the moment, but I'm not entirely convinced of Maguire's leadership abilities. He's been your captain for the past 3-4 years, right? And he's been. I've seen people call him the worst United captain of all time.
He's the worst United captain in terms of captaining the club through its worst period in the Premier League in my lifetime. Not necessarily in kind of league finishes, but in performance, kind of feeling around the place. Remember the last 2 seasons, it was dressing room unrest and it was all kicking off. And no leadership everyone's at each other's throats. We've been such a toxic club for 3 or 4 years, basically since Maguire signed. And it's starting to turn now. It's feeling like there's a better feeling about the place. The players on the pitch all look like they actually care and want to try and play football, which is something that I've forgotten that footballers could do watching United. And there is a bit of a sea change of the feel at United, and I think taking that captaincy off Harry Maguire and him not being on the pitch is a part of that. Maybe it's the pressure of Man United, maybe. So maybe somewhere else it might suit him a bit more. He might, that he's not going to have the media scrutiny that he would at United. He's not going to have everyone on his back. He'll probably have some people waiting for him to fail. But as soon as he gets his form back, let's not forget, the first season or two at United, he was playing really well. I think I'd say he was one of the top 10 centre-backs in the league. Yeah. In that system where we were soaking up pressure, defending our box and hitting on the counter, he was great. He just can't play in the halfway line because he hasn't got the recovery pace.
No.
But that's not going to be something that he's going to have to deal with at West Ham. Mentality-wise, like I say, maybe a bit less pressure at a different club. I'm not just blowing smoke up United's arse here. There's not many clubs where you got more pressure. Maybe Real Madrid.
I agree.
As soon as you slip up or off form a little bit, they are on you. It's not quite pigs' heads being thrown off the stands, but it's being slandered in every bit of print and written media and video media and radio station as soon as they can. It's a relentless atmosphere.
I agree, but I do think my concern is, like you said, he's sort of come from a time at United where it was, like you say, quite toxic, and I don't think it's quite that bad at West Ham, but there are some noises coming out of the club where it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and I do worry that if he's basically, is he going from one sort of bad situation and coming into potentially another one? That's one of my main concerns as well. But like I said, I agree. I think as a player for this season under Moyes, I genuinely think he's going to be really good. And I think he'll become a bit of a fan favourite by the end of this season. But I just think long term, I just can't for the life of me see why we're committing to such a massive outlay for someone who is likely going to be only good for 1 year. And maybe the Moyes' replacement won't be someone who likes to play a high line. But if you've got this technical director and he likes to sign young, sort of younger players and stuff, and this is the guy who brought Xabi Alonso to Leverkusen, or at least, I don't know if he was responsible, but he was at least there when Alonso came in. You'd imagine that might be the way that we might go after Moyes. That usually seems to be the case anyway. You go from a sort of more pragmatic manager to a more sort of attack-minded manager usually. And if that's the case, where does Maguire fit into that?
I mean, you can still play a lower line and be a more attacking team. Like you can have more attacking intent and more attacking. It's all about how you set up, right? There's certain teams that do play, you know, that kind of that transitional football where it's like you'll sit back and absorb the pressure a little bit, maybe keep the possession, but you're not expecting your defenders to sit on the halfway line. Like, and so there are loads of ways to go about it. And I do think that he's a player that he's shown that he's. I always go by the best ability is availability. He's never injured. He's like when he was playing, he was always there. I think there was periods, like a 2-year period, where he played the most football of anyone in the world, or at least like in the top leagues.
Yeah.
And he was, he was consistently there, and he was consistently like putting in decent performances. It's just this change of system that has kind of scuppered it for him at United. So, like I say, he could have a 2, 3, 4 years still in him. He's not 30 yet, I don't think. I think he's 29 or he's just turned 30.
So, I think he's just turned 30,
yeah. So he's still got he's still in the prime of his career. Yeah. 4 years down the line, he might start slipping off, but it's not like he's going to lose his pace.
Very true.
Yeah,
Very
it's
true.
like it's not like his game is around pace. So